Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume, and she poured it onto Jesus' feet, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, if you study the Gospel of John at all, you'll notice that John regularly makes sure you know who the betrayer is. And I don't know if there's any bitterness there or not, but anyway. Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. Why wasn't this money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. Of course, he did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put in it. Leave her alone, Jesus replied. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. So let's take a minute. We're going to look at the event here, okay? So I want you to understand something. Mary pours a bottle of expensive perfume on Jesus' feet. Now, you have to understand, their tables were not like ours. Their table was low to the ground, so they kind of had a lounge to be able to sit at it. And keep in mind, most of them walked around in sandals with bare feet. And you don't want to smell stinky feet while you're eating your dinner, right? No, it kind of spoils the food. So when they would sit at the table, they would lounge, but they would kind of lounge with their feet away from the table. So picture Jesus sitting at the table. I think that's what I'm correct. Sitting at the table with his feet away from him. So Mary that enabled Mary to be able to go forward and pour the perfume on his feet, because it's where his feet were located. Now this bottle of perfume, remember the text said a year's worth of wages. $61,891. That is the median average income in our nation. That is the average income. And so this bottle of perfume that Mary takes and pours on Jesus' feet is worth $61,891. Ish. And what I find interesting is, so here, this woman takes this expensive bottle of perfume, and in the last 2 weeks we talked about the stench of death, and in the presence of Jesus, she pours this perfume out. And it talks about how the whole house is filled with the fragrance of the perfume. I mean, think about it. She dumps it on the floor. Have you ever been in a room where, actually, if you want to experience smells like this, go to Teen Camp. And go into the dorm when the guys have their bottle of Axe spray out. It's bad. The whole dorm is filled with the fragrance of Axe body spray. This was an act of love and devotion on Mary's behalf. And think about this. She gets up from her seat, lets down her hair, pours this expensive perfume on her feet, and then wipes it with her hair up. This is love. This is devotion that she shows to Jesus. Of course, Judas was outraged. I love this picture. If you can't see, it says, when your wife finds out how much you spent on fishing gear. And it's a picture of a little girl riding on those like John Deere type cars and trying to run over the little boy. So, yeah. Judas is kind of reacting like that. You know, that image in your head. She did what with that expensive perfume? She took $61,000 worth of perfume and dumped it on somebody's feet. Are you kidding me? And then to kind of cover his tracks, he's like, yo, we could have given this money to the poor. Come on now. What's funny is, one of the major objections to people coming into the church in the world is you'll hear them make these kind of objections about the church still. Right? They won't put money in the offering plate because they're afraid that, well, they're just going to keep it. They're not going to use it. Or they'll if I give money in the offering plate, oh, I mean, that's just padding the pastor's salary. That's helping him get a fancy car and a big mansion. Why would I give to the church when I can just go give to the poor myself? I mean, that's how it works, right? At the same time that they say things like that, but then they never help anybody with any of the money. Matter of fact, they're just like Judas is. We find out Judas is the motive. Judas is a thief. He is literally stealing money from the money bag from their ministry. I don't know if you know this or not, but ministry in Jesus' day still cost money. It was still expensive. He's traveling from town to town. So they were traveling with this money bag, and Judas was stealing from it. See, Judas didn't think in the terms of love. Judas thought in this idea of dollars and cents. Everything had a value to Judas. He could not, his mind could not grasp what Mary was doing and why anybody would do something crazy like that. Of course, Jesus, he sticks up for Mary, and he says, leave her alone. It was for this purpose. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. He defends her. Now, I didn't read that part, but notice at the end of that verse it talks about how you will always have the poor among you. Jesus is not saying that we shouldn't take care of poor people, that we shouldn't take care of those that are in need. And I want to point something out to you, church. Do you know why the government had to step in and take care of the poor people in our country? You know why they had to step in? Because the church stopped doing it. We as the church, we are called to help those in need. Matter of fact, we read in the New Testament, in the very beginning of the church, that the disciples had to deal with an issue of widows and the poor not being taken care of. That has always been the church's job. But we stopped doing it. And so the government had to step in and try and do it. And we all know how it happens when the government steps in and tries to do something. But Jesus wasn't talking about the poor being unimportant here. Because we need to take care of those that are in need. But what Jesus was getting at is that there are moments that are more important. In fact, Jesus is saying, my presence, being with me, is more important. Being obedient to me is more important. Following after me is more important. Living your life for me is more important. Okay, I know I went that really fast. That is the entire event that happened. And if you've grown up in the church at all, you've probably heard this story once or twice or 500 times. I know I read it at least once a year because of Lent. But sometimes the familiar stories are the ones, when you read them as a particular moment, you catch on a detail that you missed before. I want to point something out to you. There are some minor details in this event that we gloss over and don't think about. We read the story and we just blow through it. We see that Mary was showing her love and devotion to Jesus, and we see that Judas was being a big jerk about it, and we see that Jesus defended Mary because she was left, doing it out of love, and Judas was just trying to line his own pockets. We see all that. We talk about it all the time, but we don't stop and actually pay attention to the small details in this passage of John. And we know from the book of John, especially those of you that were here for our mission statement series. Remember, it took us 4 weeks to get through John chapter 3, verses 1 through 20. Right? We were there for a long time. And so at this point, you should know, John doesn't put details in by accident. They aren't just coincidences that he throws in there. He's not just trying to point something. He's got a purpose behind it. And so we're going to look at some of these minor details that we always read through and gloss over. So first one is in verse 2. It says, They were having a dinner party that was given in honor of Jesus. Jesus brought a dead man back to life. I mean, Lazarus was dead. Dead as in doornail. Dead as in no breathing. Dead as, he was in the grave for 3 days and smelling really bad by this point. And Jesus, in one instant, said, "Come forth," and life was restored to him, and he came walking back out. And so naturally, those around us said, "We've got to celebrate this. This was amazing. This is incredible. Who can do something like this? Let's honor Jesus for what he has done for Lazarus." And so they do what any group of people, especially here in the Nazarene church, they do a party, right? They do a dinner. It's food. I was telling the Phelps this morning, if you read the New Testament, Jesus loved to eat. There was a reason why they accused him of being a drunkard and a glutton. Matter of fact, one of my favorite stories of Jesus is when he reappears to his disciples, and they're asking him all these questions. How is this happening? How are you here? I know it's really trail. How are you here, Jesus? And Jesus looks at me and he says, "What's for breakfast?" Doesn't even answer the question. So they are having a dinner party for Jesus' honor. And at this dinner, Martha was serving. She was busy going about making sure that everybody was getting their food. Making sure all of the guests were taken care of. Making sure that everybody had plenty of cups and plates and spoons and forks and whatever it was they used back then. But notice they're at a dinner party in honor of Jesus. And Martha, at this party, to honor Jesus, is not focused on Jesus. She's focused on serving everybody else. She is so busy trying to honor Jesus by doing things that she doesn't pay any attention to Jesus. At a dinner party, to honor Jesus. Still in verse 2, it says, Lazarus was among those. This guy who was dead is now sitting at the dinner table. Probably thinking, I'm starved to death. Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with Jesus. Lazarus is literally sitting next to Jesus. And so are the other disciples. They're at the table. They have their food. They have their beverages. But they're simply just content to be there in the presence of Jesus. I mean, Jesus is sitting right next to him. He's right there. They are in his presence. But they're not paying any attention to him. They're not paying any attention to Jesus. They're sitting with him. They are there in honor of him and respect for him and to honor what he had done in Lazarus' life. And I'm sure no one was more grateful than Lazarus. But at a dinner party to honor Jesus, Lazarus and the others around the table were not paying attention to Jesus. They were too busy eating and talking and chatting. Verse 4. Well, that's 3. Where did he go? Well, I skipped verse 4. But anyway, so Martha's serving. Lazarus and the others are sitting around the table. And then you have Judas. So Mary gets up, pours a perfume, and while they're at a dinner party to honor Jesus, instead of paying attention to Jesus and what's happening to Jesus, Judas is paying attention to what it is that Mary is doing. He is looking at Mary saying, "How dare you? Why would you waste that much money? Why would you do it that way?" He was paying more of who was there. So at a dinner party, to honor Jesus, he is complaining about what someone else is doing instead of honoring Jesus. We have all these people at this dinner party. They know who Jesus is. They travel with him. They had seen his miracles. They know who he is. And they're at this dinner party in his name. But no one's paying attention to him. Martha's busy serving. She's busy going about doing the business, but she's too busy to stop and chat with Jesus. Lazarus and the other disciples and other people at the table, they were just simply satisfied to be in his presence, saying, that is good enough. Judas, he was just there to complain. And then there's Mary. Mary, she's at a dinner party to honor Jesus, and she takes expensive perfume that would have cost $60,000 today. And she gets up from her seat, and she doesn't care what anybody else thinks. She's not looking over here or this way. She goes to Jesus and pours the perfume on his feet. Completely focused on him. And then she lets her hair down, which is a big no-no in this culture. This is scandalous. That only happened for men that you were married to. She lets her hair down. After pouring this expensive perfume on Jesus' feet, she's still focused on him, and she's so focused on Jesus that to clean his feet, and while he's at this table, she uses her own hair. Not a towel, not anything else, but a piece of herself. At this dinner party to honor Jesus, Mary was the one who honored Jesus by demonstrating her love for him. And see, friends, we've been talking about this as a notion, about this idea of no-show. It's not about you doing to prove to God how much you love him. But when you love God, your attention will be on him. Your focus will be on Jesus. And when you love Jesus with your whole heart, your whole being, through the power of his Spirit in you, you cannot contain that love. It's like water being poured into a cup and never stops being poured in. It just keeps pouring and pouring. It's overflowing the sides. When you truly love God, and you're focused on him, your actions, your words, the things that you do will constantly reflect that. And that's what Mary was doing. She wasn't doing it to prove to Jesus how much she loved him. She was simply doing it because she loved Jesus. It's that simple, folks. She was simply loving him. She loved him more. She was not concerned about how much it cost. She didn't pick up that bottle of perfume and think, oh, well, you know what? I got this $60,000 bottle, or I got this $1 bottle over here. She didn't debate that. She grabbed the most expensive bottle she had and went straight to Jesus, not thinking of anything else, not caring what the disciples were going to say. She didn't have any committee to vote on it. She just went straight to Jesus and poured it on his feet. She was so focused on loving Jesus that she didn't care what it looked like. She knew that people in that room were going to look at her and say, she is nuts. Or say, you can't worship, you shouldn't worship that way. It doesn't work through this method. She didn't care about any of that. She simply looked at Jesus and said, I love you, Jesus, and that's enough for me. She loved Jesus more than her reputation. This is what this is the perfect love. This is how God loves us. You realize that this is how God loves us. He looked at us. He didn't look at us and say, oh, look at this pitiful creature. He didn't look at us and say, look at this unworthy peasant that just needs to die. He said, I love you, and I'm coming to rescue you. I'm going to die on this cross in order to have a relationship with you. Not because you deserve it, not because you earned it, but simply because I love you, and I want to spend eternity with you. And even though Mary doesn't know all that's going to happen yet, she simply looked at Jesus and said, I love you. And it wasn't just an empty word to her. It wasn't some empty promise. It wasn't some thing she said just to look good in Sunday school class or to look good in front of the church. She actually meant it, that she loved Jesus. So she lived her life that way. And the beauty of this story is that it says, and the house was filled with the fragrance of perfume. The entire house, everybody that was there, they could not get away from Mary's act of love and devotion to Jesus. It filled their nostrils. They had witnessed it with their eyes. This group that had just gone from talking about the smell of death is now experiencing and smelling the beauty of someone who is truly in love with Jesus and seeking after him and living a life that reflected that. She loved Jesus so much that it could not go unnoticed in that house. And just as heaven would spare no expense for her to rescue her from her simple lifestyle, just as heaven spared no expense for you and I, and I love the song Jesus Paid It All that we sang today. I'm sorry, we sing that popular Christian song that says, you'll never know how much it cost. No, I know exactly how much it cost. It cost Jesus his life. It cost him his own blood. It cost him his own pain. It cost God coming down to us in order to rescue us. Heaven spared no expense for you and I. And Mary, because she knew who Jesus was, she didn't know about the cross yet. She didn't know what he was going to do. But she knew who Jesus was, and she loved him. And so she loved him to the point where she spared no expense out of that love. And friends, if we truly say that we love Jesus, if we actually mean it, that's how we live our lives. We would spare no expense. We wouldn't look at it and say, oh,